Tommel sat in his small spaceship, flying alone through deep space. He was a young explorer from Earth, only 23 years old. His mission was to collect stardust samples and study strange signals from faraway planets. Everything was quiet, peaceful. Then suddenly, his screen flashed red. Warning, unknown signal detected. Systems failing. Ship control lost. Before he could react, his ship shook hard as if something had grabbed it. He held onto the controls, but nothing worked. A bright light filled the room. Then, everything went dark. Tommel woke up, lying on a soft white bed. The room around him was made of glass and glowing walls. It looked clean, but not human. The air smelled like metal and flowers. He sat up slowly and looked around. He was not tied or locked, but clearly not free. A round door opened with a soft sound. An alien entered the room. She was tall, with smooth, silver skin that shimmered under the light. Her eyes were big and purple, glowing gently. She had 4 arms, 2 on each side. Her face was calm and peaceful, not scary. She walked slowly toward him and spoke in a soft voice. Her words came from a small device on her chest, which translated her language into his. "Hello, human. I am Zuri. You are safe here." Tommel blinked. Where am I?" "You are inside the Skyview research station. You were pulled here by our auto-scan trap. It catches unknown ships for peaceful study." Tommel stood up. "You kidnapped me?" Zuri tilted her head. "No harm will come to you. You are part of an observation experiment. Only simple tests. You will not be hurt." He looked around. "And what if I say no?" "You are not a prisoner. But I hope you will stay. I am very curious about your kind." Tommel sighed. He wanted to leave, of course, but he also knew he couldn't escape without a plan. Maybe if he played along for now, he could find a way out later. "All right," he said. "I'll stay for now. But I want to ask questions, too." Zuri smiled. "Good. Then we begin." The next day, Zuri returned with a tablet in her upper hands and food in the lower ones. She placed a tray near Tommel. "I have studied your food needs. This should be safe for your system." Tommel looked at the tray. It had a soft, blue cake-like thing and something that looked like water. He tried it carefully. It tasted like sweet rice. "Not bad," he said. Zuri sat outside the glass wall, watching him. She tapped her tablet and asked questions. "What is your usual body temperature? How many hours do you sleep? Do your muscles grow stronger with stress?" Tommel answered honestly. The questions were harmless. Strange, but not painful or dangerous. But he did notice one thing. Zuri kept watching him closely, very closely. She observed how he walked, how he stretched, even how he rubbed his neck when he felt tired. Her eyes often moved over his body, like a scanner. Tommel began to feel a little embarrassed. "Why do you keep staring at me?" he finally asked. Zuri blinked slowly. "I am observing muscle patterns, skin changes, and posture. It is part of the study." "Right," he said, rubbing the back of his head. "Still feels a bit personal." She tilted her head again. "You humans value privacy, yes? We do not have such customs. I will try to adjust." Later that day, Zuri brought him a clean set of clothes, smooth fabric, white with blue lines. "I made these for you. Your clothes were damaged during ship capture." Tommel accepted them, then paused. "Could I Have a place to change? Zuri blinked again as if confused. Then she smiled. Yes, I will close my eyes. I will stand outside. Tommel chuckled softly. Thanks. After changing, he came out. Zuri was standing by a holographic map of Earth's solar system. Your planet is very far, she said, but beautiful, full of water and life. Yeah, I miss it already, Tommel replied. Zuri looked at him closely. Do you have others waiting for you? Tommel thought about it. No, I was alone on this mission, just me and the stars. Zuri looked down at her tablet. Then perhaps you will not mind staying longer. Tommel looked at her, surprised. Why? She looked up again. I have studied many creatures from many planets, but none like you. Your body moves with purpose, yet your emotions are gentle. I find this interesting. Tommel raised an eyebrow. Are you studying me or trying to be my friend? Zuri paused. I am a scientist, but I believe I can be both. Tommel smiled. For the first time, he didn't feel so alone. That night, he lay on the bed, looking at the ceiling. Stars glowed through the glass above. He heard soft footsteps. Zuri stood at the door, watching. I forgot to ask, she said softly. Are your dreams important to your health? Tommel nodded. Yeah, dreams help us rest. Think clearly. Zuri looked at him for a long moment, her purple eyes calm. You keep looking at me, human. Do you like what you see? Tommel blinked, surprised. But her face was serious, not teasing. I think you're unique, he said. Different from any life I've seen, and not just outside, inside too. Zuri nodded slowly. Good. Then we both learned something new. She turned and left quietly. Tommel smiled to himself, then closed his eyes. Maybe this place wasn't so bad after all. Tommel sat in his small spaceship, flying alone through deep space. He was a young explorer from Earth, only 23 years old. His mission was to collect stardust samples and study strange signals from faraway planets. Everything was quiet, peaceful. Then suddenly, his screen flashed red. Warning. Unknown signal detected. Systems failing. Ship control lost. Before he could react, his ship shook hard, as if something had grabbed it. He held on to the controls, but nothing worked. A bright light filled the room. Then everything went dark. Tommel woke up, lying on a soft white bed. The room around him was made of glass and glowing walls. It looked clean, but not human. The air smelled like metal and flowers. He sat up slowly and looked around. He was not tied or locked, but clearly not free. A round door opened with a soft sound. An alien entered the room. She was tall, with smooth, silver skin that shimmered under the light. Her eyes were big and purple, glowing gently. She had 4 arms, 2 on each side. Her face was calm and peaceful, not scary. She walked slowly toward him and spoke in a soft voice. Her words came from a small device on her chest, which translated her language into his. Hello, human. I am Zuri. You are safe here. Tommel blinked. Where am I? You're inside the Skyview research station. You were pulled here by our auto-scan trap. It catches unknown ships for peaceful study. Tommel stood up. You kidnapped me? Zuri tilted her head. No harm will come to you. You are part of an observation experiment. Only simple tests. You will not be hurt. He looked around. And what if I say no? You are not a prisoner, but I hope you will stay. I am very curious about your kind. Tommel sighed. He wanted to leave, of course. But he also knew he couldn't escape without a plan. Maybe if he played along for now, he could find a way out later. All right, he said. I'll stay for now, but I want to ask questions too. Zuri smiled. Good. Then we begin. The next day, Zuri returned with a tablet in her upper hands and food in the lower ones. She placed a tray near Tommel. I have studied your food needs. This should be safe for your system. Tommel looked at the tray. It had a soft, blue cake-like thing, and something that looked like water. He tried it carefully. It tasted like sweet rice. Not bad, he said. Zuri sat outside the glass wall watching him. She tapped her tablet and asked questions. What is your usual body temperature? How many hours do you sleep? Do your muscles grow stronger with stress? Tommel answered honestly. The questions were harmless, strange, but not painful or dangerous. But he did notice one thing. Zuri kept watching him closely, very closely. She observed how he walked, how he stretched, even how he rubbed his neck when he felt tired. Her eyes often moved over his body like a scanner. Tommel began to feel a little embarrassed. Why do you keep staring at me? He finally asked. Zuri blinked slowly. I am observing muscle patterns, skin changes, and posture. It is part of the study. Right, he said, rubbing the back of his head. Still feels a bit personal. She tilted her head again. You humans value privacy, yes? We do not have such customs. I will try to adjust. Later that day, Zuri brought him a clean set of clothes, smooth fabric, white with blue lines. I made these for you. Your clothes were damaged during ship capture. Tommel accepted them, then paused. Could I have a place to change? Zuri blinked again, as if confused. Then she smiled. Yes, I will close my eyes. I will stand outside. Tommel chuckled softly. Thanks. After changing, he came out. Zuri was standing by a holographic map of Earth's solar system. Your planet is very far, she said, but beautiful, full of water and life. Yeah. I miss it already, Tommel replied. Zuri looked at him closely. Do you have others waiting for you? Tommel thought about it. No, I was alone on this mission. Just me and the stars. Zuri looked down at her tablet. Then perhaps you will not mind staying longer. Tommel looked at her, surprised. Why? She looked up again. I have studied many creatures from many planets, but none like you. Your body moves with purpose, yet your emotions are gentle. I find this interesting. Tommel raised an eyebrow. Are you studying me or trying to be my friend? Zuri paused. I am a scientist, but I believe I can be both. Tommel smiled. For the first time, he didn't feel so alone. That night, he lay on the bed, looking at the ceiling. Stars glowed through the glass above. He heard soft footsteps. Zuri stood at the door, watching. I forgot to ask, she said softly. Are your dreams important to your health? Tommel nodded. Yeah, dreams help us rest. Think clearly. Zuri looked at him for a long moment, her purple eyes calm. You keep looking at me, human. Do you like what you see? Tommel blinked, surprised. But her face was serious, not teasing. "I think you're unique," he said. "Different from any life I've seen. And not just outside, inside too." Zuri nodded slowly. "Good. Then we both learned something new." She turned and left quietly. Tommel smiled to himself, then closed his eyes. Maybe this place wasn't so bad after all. Each day passed with new questions, new games, and more time spent together. Zuri's research logs were no longer filled with only numbers and body details. Now they included notes like, "Subject laughed today." "Subject asked if I was feeling lonely." I smiled without reason. Tommel didn't feel like a test subject anymore. He felt like a guest, and slowly, like a friend. One morning, Tommel walked into the lab wearing clothes Zuri had designed. They were more comfortable than before, soft and light. She had even added small Earth-style buttons because he said he liked them. "You look well today," Zuri said, checking her tablet. Tommel stretched his arms and smiled. "I think I slept better. Maybe because I didn't feel so alone." Zuri nodded. "Loneliness affects health, even more than cold or hunger." Tommel looked at her. "Do your people feel lonely too?" Zuri paused. "Our kind lives in silence. We share thoughts with machines, but rarely with hearts. That is why I find you different." After a small test, Zuri showed Tommel a new part of the station. It was a tall, round room filled with stars. The ceiling was a screen that showed space in real time. Tommel looked up and saw his home planet. So small, so far. "This is the star chamber," Zuri said. "I come here when I want to feel quiet." Tommel sat on the floor, legs crossed. "It's beautiful." Zuri sat beside him. "I have studied the stars for a long time, but now sitting beside you they feel warmer." Tommel smiled. "On Earth we say stars can guide people home." Zuri turned to him. "Where is your home now, Tommel?" He looked at her for a moment, then at the stars. "I don't know anymore." Later that day, Zuri showed him a song from her planet. It was not made with words, but with soft colors and music that changed with emotion. When Zuri played it, the room filled with glowing waves of blue and gold. "This is our memory song," she said. "We don't use words like humans. We show our feelings with light and sound." Tommel listened quietly. "It feels peaceful." Zuri looked at him. "Do humans have memory songs?" Tommel nodded. "We have music. Songs that remind us of people, places, or old times. I used to listen to one before bed when I was young." She smiled. "Sing it for me?" He shook his head. "It's not very good." "I want to learn," she said softly. "Not just your body, but your heart." Tommel took a deep breath and sang a soft tune. His voice was low and simple. It was a song about looking at the moon and dreaming of home. Zuri listened, her eyes glowing gently. "That is beautiful," she said when he finished. "Now it is my memory, too." Over time, the lab changed. Zuri added decorations. Green plants, soft lights, and pictures drawn by Tommel. One drawing showed Earth. Another showed her. "You made my eyes too big," Zuri said, laughing one day. "They're already big," Tommel replied with a grin. Zuri touched the paper. "You see me differently than I see myself." Tommel looked at her. "Maybe because I don't look at you like a subject anymore." Zuri's smile faded slightly. "I have a question, but I don't know if I should ask." "Go ahead, Tommel." said, "Would you still talk to me if I wasn't a scientist?" Tommel tilted his head. "Yes, I'd still talk to you. Maybe even more." One afternoon, during another test, Zuri was checking Tommel's reaction to temperature changes. The room became a little cooler, then warmer again. Zuri was close, checking the readings. Tommel looked at her and said, "You're standing very near today." Zuri stopped and looked at him. "Does it make you uncomfortable?" "No," he said quickly, "just curious." "I am also curious," she replied. "You keep looking at me, human. Not just my body, but my face, my hands, my eyes." "Why?" Tommel thought for a moment. "Because I want to understand you. Not just your shape or science, but who you are inside." Zuri looked surprised. "Most creatures I study don't ask about me. They only care about freedom, escape, not understanding." Tommel stepped closer. "Then maybe I'm not like the others." Zuri smiled gently. "No, you are not." That evening, Zuri made another surprise. She brought Tommel to a room with a table filled with different dishes, alien fruits, strange but soft bread, glowing drinks. "I prepared a friendship meal," she said. "We do not eat for hunger only. We eat to share time." Tommel sat down, touched by the gesture. "This looks amazing." Zuri watched him taste the blue fruit. It was sweet and juicy. He smiled. "I made it with care," Zuri said. "I learned your taste patterns." Tommel laughed. "You even studied my tongue?" Zuri tilted her head. "Not directly, but closely." They both laughed. After the meal, they returned to the star chamber. The stars were still shining. Zuri looked at the sky and said, "I was taught to separate feelings from facts, but now I feel something new, and I don't want to erase it." Tommel looked at her quietly. "Feelings aren't wrong, Zuri. Sometimes they help us see the truth more clearly." She turned toward him. "You changed the way I think." Tommel smiled. "And you changed the way I feel." They sat together for a long time, not speaking, just watching the stars. The next morning, things felt different. Not bad, but quiet. Zuri was late. She always arrived early. Tommel waited, walking around the lab. He finally found her standing in front of a screen. Her face looked serious. "What's wrong?" Tommel asked. Zuri turned slowly. "Others are coming. More scientists. They have read my reports. They do not agree with my methods." Tommel felt a chill. "What does that mean?" "It means they may want to move you, or restart the experiment their way." Tommel stood still. "And what will you do?" Zuri looked at him. "I will protect the subject, no matter the cost." Tommel took her hand gently. "Not a subject, a friend." Zuri looked down at their hands. "Yes, a friend." Tommel sat in the green room surrounded by fake trees and the soft sound of birds. But today, he didn't feel calm. His fingers played with a small stone he found in the corner. His mind was full of worry. Zuri had not come that morning. This was the first time she had missed their daily talk, their shared meal, or her soft voice saying, "Good morning, human." Something was wrong. Zuri stood alone in the central control room of the Skyview station. Around her, large screens showed data maps and live space readings. She stared at a message flashing in red across the main screen. Supervisor team arrival, 14 hours. They were coming early. Zuri was not ready. Her hand trembled slightly as she held her tablet. She looked at her research files. There were graphs of Tommel's physical health, emotional patterns, and brain scans. But there were also drawings, songs, and recordings of them, laughing, talking, learning together. The other scientists would not like this. They followed strict rules. No friendship, no emotion, no personal connection with test subjects. But Zuri had broken those rules. Not out of rebellion, but out of care. I didn't plan this, she whispered to herself. It just happened. Back in the Earth simulation room, Tommel heard the door open. He stood up quickly. Zuri! But it wasn't Zuri. A tall alien entered, wearing a dark blue suit with a sharp collar. His skin was greenish-gray, and his eyes were narrow. He had only 2 arms and walked stiffly. I am Unit Commander Revek, the alien said in a deep voice. You are the human subject. Tommel took a step back. Where's Zuri? She has been removed from your observation schedule, Revek said coldly. New instructions are now in place. Tommel frowned. What kind of instructions? More. Detailed scans. Longer sleep observations. Memory access if needed. Tommel's heart beat faster. Zuri said this experiment was peaceful. Revek looked down at him. It was too peaceful. Emotions do not belong in science. Zuri watched from a hidden hallway. She had guessed this would happen. Revek had always followed the rules like a machine. He would treat Tommel like a number, not a person. She needed a plan. Fast. She returned to her room and called an old friend, Juno, a tech engineer who once helped her build her first scanner. I need help, Zuri said quickly. Juno appeared on screen, her face calm but serious. What happened? I have a human subject. I built trust with him, but now the supervisors are taking over. They may move him, or worse. Juno nodded. What do you need? Access to the old shuttle in storage room 9 and control over security doors. Juno raised an eyebrow. Are you planning an escape? Zuri looked straight at the screen. Yes, he doesn't belong in a cage. Juno nodded slowly. You always did care too much. Meanwhile, Tommel sat in a cold examination chair. Machines surrounded him. Revek stood with 2 other scientists, whispering and typing into screens. A voice spoke from above. Start body pressure test. Tommel felt the chair press against his back. Lights blinked near his head. He called out, This isn't what I agreed to. No one answered. He closed his eyes. Where are you, Zuri? Late that night, Zuri arrived outside the lab quietly. She had turned off the cameras in the hallway for 10 minutes, just enough time. She opened the side door and whispered, Tommel! He looked up in surprise. Zuri, what are you? No time, she said quickly. We have to go now. She helped him out of the chair. His legs were weak from sitting too long. Where are we going? He asked. To freedom. They ran through dark halls. Zuri guided him carefully, avoiding patrol drones and cameras. She had a small map glowing on her wrist. We'll reach the old hangar in 5 minutes, she said. Tommel followed her, breathing hard. Why are you helping me? Zuri glanced at him. Because I care. Because you taught me something the others forgot. Kindness. Finally, they reached the storage room. Inside was a small silver ship. It looked old but strong. Zuri tapped the door, and it opened with a soft sound. Tommel stepped in. This is real. It was built for travel between research stations, Zuri said. Fast, quiet, and still working. Zuri climbed into the pilot's seat. Tommel sat beside her. Just as she powered up the ship, a loud alarm rang through the station. Intruder alert. Shut down in 120 seconds. They found us, Tommel said. Zuri kept her hands calm on the controls. Then we leave now. The ship shook as it lifted from the floor. Red lights flashed all around them. Doors began to close in the hangar. Zuri pushed forward. The ship rushed ahead and passed through the final gate just before it sealed shut. Outside, the stars opened around them. They were free. Tommel looked back at the station, shrinking in the distance. He turned to Zuri. You saved me. Zuri looked, straight ahead. You saved me too, in a different way. They flew in silence for a while. Then Tommel said, So, where do we go now? Zuri smiled softly. Someplace quiet, someplace safe, maybe even someplace we both belong. Tommel nodded. That sounds perfect. Far behind them, Revek stood at the hangar gate, staring into the stars. They will not go far, he said. They are just a human and a scientist. But deep in his mind, he knew those two had something stronger than logic. They had trust. The ship moved smoothly through the deep black of space. Zuri sat in the pilot's seat, hands steady on the glowing controls. Beside her, Tommel looked out through the wide glass window. Stars passed like soft lights in a dark ocean. They had escaped, but they were not safe yet. Any ships following us? Tommel asked, breaking the silence. Zuri checked the screen. Not yet, but they will come. The station has long-range scouts. Tommel nodded. So what do we do now? Zuri looked ahead. We stay hidden. We fly quiet. And we find a place where no one will look. After 6 hours of travel, the ship entered a quiet region of space, a place between galaxies. There were no large planets nearby, only small moons and rocks floating in the silence. Zuri pointed at a glowing dot on the map. This one, small moon. Not on any travel path. It has air. We can land there. Tommel smiled. Then let's go. The ship turned and glided toward the moon. When they landed, the moon looked calm and empty. Its surface was gray with soft hills. The sky above was purple, filled with tiny lights. Tommel stepped out first. The ground was firm. The air was cold but safe to breathe. Zuri stepped out behind him. She looked around and said, It is quiet here. I think we can rest. Tommel nodded. It's the most peaceful place I've seen in weeks. They set up a small camp near a group of tall stone pillars. Zuri used tools from the ship to make a shelter, simple but strong. Tommel helped her build, lifting panels and connecting wires. By evening, they sat inside the shelter, eating soft food from a small pack. It wasn't delicious, but it gave them strength. Zuri looked at Tommel. You worked hard today. Tommel smiled. You taught me well. She tilted her head. Humans are fast learners. Tommel laughed. We have to be. Our planet taught us that. That night they sat outside, looking at the stars. The ground was cold, but the moment was peaceful. Zuri broke the silence. I used to believe science had only one path. Rules, facts, no feeling. But now I think that was only part of the truth. Tommel looked at her. What changed your mind? You, she said softly. Your kindness, your questions, your laughter. Tommel looked at her glowing eyes. You changed me too. You showed me that curiosity doesn't have to be cold. They sat quietly again, the stars watching them like old friends. The next day, Zuri began scanning for signs of movement in space. She used a small antenna from the ship and connected it to her tablet. No danger yet, she said. But we should be ready. Tommel nodded. Can we fly again if needed? Yes. The ship still has enough power. But we should rest and think. He smiled. Thinking is harder than flying. Zuri smiled back. Not for you. As the days passed, Tommel and Zuri started to build more things together. They made solar panels to charge devices. They grew small green plants inside the shelter. Zuri even made a table from flat stones. Every day they laughed a little more. And every night, they watched the stars. One evening, Tommel drew a picture in the sand. It showed the station, the ship, and their small home on the moon. You're a good artist, Zuri said. Tommel shrugged. I just draw what I feel. She looked at the picture and pointed at the small shelter. And how do you feel about this place? Tommel looked at her. I feel like I belong, but peace doesn't last forever. On the 5th night, Zuri's tablet beeped with a soft but sharp tone. She stood quickly and checked the signal. Her eyes narrowed. What is it? Tommel asked. She looked at him. A ship, not far. Tommel stood. Are they from the station? Zuri nodded slowly. I think it's Revek. He's looking for us. Tommel clenched his fists. Do we run? Zuri looked at the sky. No, not yet. I have another idea. Back inside the shelter, Zuri opened a secret program on her tablet. It showed maps of nearby systems and hidden travel routes. There's a gate near here, she explained. It's a hidden jump point, old, forgotten by most, but it can take us far away beyond their reach. How far? Tommel asked. Far enough to disappear. He looked at her. Can the ship make the jump? Only if we remove weight and give it full power. Tommel nodded. Let's do it. They worked through the night. Zuri removed extra lab tools. Tommel packed only the most important supplies. They kept the food, the maps, and a small music device Zuri had built from memory songs. Before leaving, Tommel looked at the shelter. It feels like we just made it. Zuri touched the doorway gently. It will still be here. Maybe one day we will return. As they entered the ship, the stars above began to shift. A dark shape moved in the sky. Zuri turned to Tommel. They found us. Time to go. The ship lifted from the moon, moving fast. Behind them, the other ship gave chase. Zuri's fingers moved quickly on the controls. 1 minute to gate. Tommel looked at the screen. The other ship was closing in. Zuri pressed the final button. A bright light appeared in front of them. The gate. We hold steady, she said. Don't move. The ship entered the gate, and light swallowed them whole. Everything went silent. Then, slowly, the stars returned. But they were different. The space was open, quiet, peaceful. Tommel looked around. Where are we? Zuri smiled. Someplace new. Someplace free, she turned to him. From now on, we choose our own experiment. Tommel smiled. And what will we study? Zuri looked into his eyes. How two souls from different worlds can build one life. The stars were quiet, and the sky around them was new. After entering the jump gate, Tommel and Zuri had arrived in a place neither of them had seen before. There were no stations, no large ships, no signals in the air. Just open space, glowing. Lights and peace. For now. Zuri checked the ship's systems. "We made it," she said softly. Tommel looked out the window. "It feels like we're the only two people in the universe." Zuri turned to him. "Maybe that's what we need." They found a small rocky planet with clean air and low gravity. It wasn't beautiful, but it was safe. They landed the ship and built a small base using parts from their supplies. Every day, Tommel worked on building walls, gathering heat from the sun, and organizing food packs. Zuri repaired the ship's power core and set up a signal blocker so they could not be tracked. They were a team, silent, focused, but smiling often. One morning, as Tommel sat under a wide rock to rest, he looked at Zuri from a distance. She was working with wires, fixing a communication panel. Her hands moved carefully, her face focused. "She looks peaceful," he thought. She caught him watching and called, "You keep looking at me again, human." Tommel smiled. "Maybe I like what I see." Zuri laughed softly. "Maybe I do too." But peace was not forever. On the fourth day, Zuri's scanner beeped. She rushed to the ship and checked the main screen. A red dot blinked. "A message?" she said, surprised. Tommel joined her. "From who?" She pressed a few buttons and a weak voice came through. "This is Juno, calling from the Skyview station. I need help. Revek has taken control. He's planning to erase the old research data, including yours." Zuri's eyes widened. "Erase everything? Why?" Tommel looked at her. "He wants to hide what we found, the friendship, the connection, the truth." Zuri nodded. "He wants to pretend it never happened." The message continued. "I don't have much time. I've hidden the data inside the central archive. Only you can unlock it, Zuri." Then silence. Tommel sat down. "She helped us. Now she needs us." Zuri looked at the screen. "The station is too far. It could be a trap." Tommel looked into her eyes. "If it was you in trouble, would she leave you behind?" Zuri didn't answer. She didn't have to. They both stood. The decision was clear. That evening, they prepared the ship. Zuri added a shield booster. Tommel packed only what they needed. He even brought the small music box they made together. Zuri turned on the ship and looked at him. "Are you ready?" Tommel nodded. "Always." The trip back was quiet and long. They moved slowly through safe paths, avoiding known stations. It took 2 days to reach the edge of Skyview space. Zuri whispered, "We're close." Tommel checked the scanner. "One ship near the station. It's Ravex." Zuri narrowed her eyes. "He's watching." They flew toward the dark side of the station, where a hidden entrance was used by engineers. Zuri had used it before. This time it would help them again. Inside the station, everything felt different. The lights were low, doors were locked. Cameras turned slowly in the halls. Zuri moved carefully, with Tommel close behind. "Where's the archive room?" he whispered. 2 levels down," Zuri answered. "But it's guarded." Tommel nodded. "Then we need a way to distract them." Zuri opened a side room filled with old lab tools. She picked up a small flying drone. "I can program this to make noise in the west hallway. When the guards move, we go the other way." Tommel smiled. Smart? She looked at him. I learned it from a human. The plan worked. The drone flew out and made loud noise in the wrong hallway. 2 guards ran toward it. Tamil and Zuri rushed down the stairs, holding their breath. They reached the archive room. The door was locked, with a high-level code. Zuri placed her hand on the scanner. It remembers me. The door opened. Inside, rows of data crystals blinked in soft blue light. Each one held research from years of study. Zuri ran to the far wall and pulled out a small golden crystal. This is it, she said. All our files, your test results, our recordings, the simulations, the friendship logs. Tamil looked around. Let's copy it and go. Zuri nodded and placed the crystal in a small reader. A second later, it copied onto a new device. Suddenly, an alarm rang out. Intruders detected. Sector 7. Zuri grabbed the device. They found us! Tamil turned to the door. Time to run. They moved fast. But halfway through the hallway, Revik appeared at the end holding a scanner weapon. He raised his voice. You came back. I warned you, Zuri. Zuri stood tall. You want to erase truth. It is not truth, Revik said coldly. It is weakness. Tamil stepped beside her. You call kindness a weakness? Revik raised his weapon. You don't belong here, human. Zuri quickly dropped a flashlight bomb. It exploded with bright light. Revik shouted and stepped back. Go, Zuri said. They ran. Back at the hidden entrance, the ship waited. Zuri jumped into the pilot's seat. Hold on. Tamil closed the door as guards shouted behind them. The ship lifted and flew fast. Outside, 2 smaller ships followed. They're chasing, Tamil said. Zuri pressed a few buttons. I prepared a surprise. A trap signal burst from the ship, loud, bright, and full of noise. It broke the other ship's sensors for a moment. They escaped. In space again, Zuri placed the golden crystal into a reader. She looked at Tamil. We saved it. Tamil nodded. We saved us. Zuri smiled. Now let's give it to the universe. Let them see what science forgot. How 2 very different lives became something better together. Zuri sat at the center console of the ship, her hands gently resting on the glowing crystal. The device was small, but what it held was big. Too big for just one person to carry alone. Tamil stood beside her, watching her with quiet trust. Are you ready to send it? He asked. Zuri looked at the screen and nodded. This message could change everything. Tamil smiled. Then let's make sure they hear it. The message was not a warning. It was not an order. It was a story. Zuri activated the long-range broadcast. Across every science station, every research ship, every teaching hall in her home world, the signal would be received. The message began with her voice. My name is Zuri. I was born as a scientist, trained to observe, measure, and control. I once believed emotions were weak, and friendship had no place in science. But then I met a human. She paused, looked at Tamil, and continued. I studied him. I watched him. But in the end, he taught me. I learned about kindness, about laughter, about what it means to care for another person. Not as a subject, not as a tool, but as a friend. Tamil touched her shoulder. Zuri's eyes stayed focused. I was told to control the human, to erase his name, his thoughts, and even his spirit. But I could not, because in helping him, I found something inside myself, a new way of seeing life, a better way. Zuri's voice was calm, but strong. This data crystal holds the proof. The tests, the talks, the shared days, the shared peace. It is not a weapon. It is not a trick. It is a path forward. For humans and for my kind. She looked into the camera and finished. If you still believe in truth, then listen. She pressed a button. The full record began to transmit. Across every corner of the star system. After the message was sent, the ship was quiet. Zuri leaned back in her chair. It's done. Tommel sat beside her. Now we wait. Zuri smiled. Waiting with you is not so hard. Days passed. The stars stayed silent. Then, one morning, the screen blinked. Message received. Open? Zuri quickly opened it. The face on the screen was Juno. She looked tired, but alive. Zuri, Tommel, I heard the broadcast. So did others. The council is shaken. Some want to ignore it, but many are listening. Tommel asked, Are you safe? Juno nodded. For now, but Revek is still in power. He wants to find you. He says the message was fake. Zuri frowned. He's afraid of the truth. Juno replied, Yes, but he can't stop it now. Students are asking questions. Scientists are reading your files. You've started something big. Tommel smiled. Then maybe there's still hope. Juno added, Be careful, but don't hide forever. The universe needs you both. The screen went dark again. Zuri turned to Tommel. Do you think we did the right thing? Tommel nodded. Truth is always the right thing. She paused. And what now? Tommel looked out the window at the stars. Let's find a new place. A place where no one controls what we think. A place we can build together. Zuri smiled. You really are different, human. He smiled back. You too, scientist. They flew for many days, passing through quiet systems, colorful clouds, of gas and planets untouched by life. One day they saw it, a green and blue planet with tall trees, wide rivers, and skies full of birds. This one, Tommel said. Zuri scanned it. Clean air, fresh water, no cities, no machines. They landed gently on a soft green hill. Wind moved through tall grass, and strange flowers glowed softly in the evening light. Tommel stepped out first, feeling the ground under his feet. It feels like home. Zuri followed him. She held a small sensor in her hand, but she was not scanning. She just wanted to walk. They built a home from simple tools. It was not large, but it had a warm light, a place to cook, and a table for two. Each day, Tommel taught Zuri how to cook food from plants. Zuri taught Tommel how to build tools from local minerals. They laughed often. Sometimes they just sat quietly and watched the stars. One night, Zuri sat outside, watching the sky. Tommel joined her. Thinking about your world? Zuri nodded. I wonder if they'll change. Tommel replied. Some will, some won't, but the message is there now, forever. Zuri held the old crystal in her hand. Then it was worth everything. Tommel looked at her and asked, Zuri, do you think we were part of an experiment? Or something more? She looked into his eyes. You were my subject, then my friend. Now, you are something more. Tommel smiled. I feel the same. They sat together watching the stars move slowly above them. Months passed. The planet became home. One day, while gathering fruit near the river, Zuri's communicator beeped again. She answered. A young alien voice spoke. Are you Zuri? The scientist? From the message? Zuri blinked. Yes, who are you? I'm Tella, the voice replied. I'm a student. I left the academy. I want to learn the way you did. May I visit? Zuri smiled. Yes, you're welcome here. Later that night, she told Tomel. He grinned. Looks like your experiment is still growing. Zuri nodded. And this time, no cages, no control, just learning, together. The stars had once been cold and silent. Now they held voices, voices of change, of hope, and of two beings who chose peace over power. On a quiet planet far from war and rules, a human and a scientist had found something no lab could measure, a shared life.